Hi everyone. So now we want to show a view of where the customers of each office are located. So for this question, we need to get the employee office and the sales that office made and where the customers were from. So let's have a look at the data. Okay, so I've just opened up a new query. And for this question, I'm just going to start with the usual by bringing in the orders data, and we're going to also show the order details. So we just join them and the order number. I think we just remember the join condition by now because we've done it quite often. So now we want to get the customer data, but we also want the employees and offices. So let's just look at our employees table. So we'll click into it here and just look at the columns. So we have employee number, but we also have office code. And in our offices table, we have office code. Okay, so it may be easiest to look at the ER diagram again because we're going to bring in many of these tables. We have customers, orders, order details, and I want to show the products as well. I want to see if any products are sold to any countries. And then we also have the employees and offices table. So the offices table doesn't directly connect to the customers table. We have to go through the sales rep employee number, then the employees table, and then the offices. Okay, so let's also just join the customers table and then the products table. So inner join customers. And if you remember, the customer number is in our first table, equals t3.customer number. And then we'll inner join the products table. T4 on. So our product code is in order details table. So T4 dot product code equals, or we'll do T2 equals T4 dot product code. Okay, now we have many columns. We have each product's name and description and everything, but we're not going to display all this in the end. We'll just pick our columns. I just like to do my joins first. So next, so from the customers table, we have the sales rep employee number. So now we can inner join the employees table. Spelled it wrong. So it'll be T3 dot sales rep employee number equals T5 dot employee number. So now if we go to the very right hand side, it will be the employees table, and we can have the office code. So now we can join the offices table. And that will be our final table. Office code equals T6 dot office code. Okay. So yeah, we have the country, the office country. So that's what we want. We'll maybe bring in the city as well. So let's just pick what columns we want to show from the left hand side. We'll bring in the order number. Again, just reference which table it's coming from. We'll bring in the sale, we'll get the sales value. So let's show quantity ordered. So we're going to need the product code. And a lot of these columns are going to be ambiguous. So we've got product code from T2. Quantity ordered is also T2. And then price. And then we will also bring, so the customer country and city. So that will be T3. So if we write T3.city, we want to name this just to reference it as the customer's city. So we'll name it customer city, and we'll do T3.country as well. And we'll name it customer country. And we'll bring in the product line. So that comes from the products table. And then let's bring in, so we don't actually need the sales reps data. We just want the offices, city and country. So that will be T6.city. And then we want to name that as office, city, and then T6.country as office, country. So you can see if we didn't rename these, we would have two columns named city and we wouldn't know which one is customer and which one is the office. So let's just run this. Okay, so the only other column I would like to add is just a sales value. So that's just quantity ordered multiplied by price each. And that will be sales value. Okay, now if we run this, we can, again, we're just going to create a CTE and then sum this sales value. And then we're going to show it at a product line breakdown. So then we can see each office's country, the customer's country, and the sales value of each product in that country. So we'll just create our CTE first. And then we are not going to bring back all our columns. So we'll bring back, each order number. And then the sales value. And then the customer city. Customer country. Product line. Yeah, just the rest of the columns. But what we're actually going to have to do is sum the sales value, otherwise it will bring in each record. But we're going to aggregate this to product line level, so we'll actually bring this in last. So I'm just going to delete it, and we want to sum, and then just name it sales value again, and then that'll be from our main CTE, and then we just need to group by our non-aggregate columns. Just remove our last comma. Okay, there's an error. Product line. Is there no underscore in the middle? Oh, it's the same in the group statement. Yeah, there's no underscore. Okay. Okay, so now I'm just going to copy all this data and bring it into Excel. So again, just add a new sheet. Okay, and then we'll enter a pivot table from this. So we want to see an overview of the office country and the customer countries, and then we'll count the distinct order number. So we are going to have sometimes the same order number twice. That's why we need to count distinct, because they'll have two different product lines. But let's just try it in a pivot table with distinct order number. So we'll insert it into our next to our same worksheets, and then on the rows side we can bring in the office country, and on the columns side we can bring in the customer country. Okay, because the customer country has many more than the office, I would actually prefer to do it the other way around. It's just easier to read. Yep. So we would just need to highlight that the office is on the top, and then what we could do, we could even sum the sales value, and then you could see which offices, which countries they sell to more often. So it would make sense that Japan sells most to its own country, Hong Kong, Philippines, Singapore, so they're all closer together. France sells to Europe, for example. Okay, so I've just noticed our issue with Norway again, so we'll need to just change that back. So if we just click on our column data and we'll filter it, only to show Norway, but we need to tick both of them. Okay, so the first one doesn't have any trailing blanks, so I'm just going to drag it down so that they all are the same. Then we can remove the filter and refresh our pivot table just by right clicking. So that'll only bring in one Norway and sum the total sales. Okay, and then we'll just change it as well, these values to be dollar. And what I would like to do is just highlight where Australia meets Australia, France meets France, just for the 5 offices. And then we could make the background color green, for example, just to make them stand out, because these are going to be higher. Although France sells a lot to Spain as well by the looks of it. And another way we might want to view this is we could bring in the office code country into filters, and then we could select a single filter just to show, you know, where France sold to, for example. And even if we showed them all, we could insert a pivot chart. We could either make it a column or a bar. I'll do a bar chart. And let's just order it. Right click, sort, largest to small. We'll do smallest to largest. Just so the USA is on top, and then we actually have our filter here in the chart as well. So we could just click Australia, for example, and it's just going to show the 3 countries as a chart. France. And then we can select multiple values too. So France and UK together. Okay, so I think that's the best way to visualize it actually. Okay, so I'm just going to rename this sheet Office Sales, and let's insert another pivot table just below where we were, and we'll show which product line has the highest sales in each office. So we'll insert another pivot table just below our previous one, and on the left hand side we'll have the because we're going to visualize this, we will put the office country on the left hand side because this will be our x-axis in our chart, and then we'll have our product line on the right hand side, and then we will sum our sales value, and then we can insert a pivot chart from this. Just at the top, insert pivot chart, and a stacked column chart shows each country's office and what products had the highest sales value. So France, for example, you can see sells mostly classic. All of them sell mostly classic cars, but Australia sells more vintage cars than the other countries. This is as a percentage of total sales. So I think that would also be useful data to know, and we can, in our design pane, you can just change the way it's viewed as well. You have many options here, and yeah, you can change the colors to have a a similar color theme. It may be harder to read, but it might look better. So I'll just go light blue to dark blue for now. And we could also even add our data labels. We just need to change the font to be dark in our lighter blues and light font in our darker blues, but I'll not display data labels. I'll just display the trends. Okay, so I'm just going to save this workbook, and in the next video we'll work on our next exercise. So I'll see you there.